Blood ran cold across the WWE universe when the news broke. Paul Heyman, the self-proclaimed wise man, the advocate of champions, the man who has manipulated, maneuvered, and masterminded some of the greatest storylines in wrestling history, was involved in a ghastly motor accident. The images that trickled out were horrifying. Twisted metal, shattered glass, sirens screaming into the night. And amidst all this chaos stood the shadow of the WWE itself, trembling under the weight of uncertainty. The fans didn't just gasp, they roared in anger, confusion, and disbelief. How could this happen? How could WWE's most polarizing figure suddenly be hanging between life and death? But what shocked fans even more than the accident itself was Triple H's reaction. The King of Kings, the coup, the man who has built NXT from the ground up, the man steering WWE through its modern era. Instead of the solidarity, respect, or even compassion the fans expected, what Triple H delivered left the entire wrestling world in pure outrage. According to reports, when the news first reached Triple H backstage during preparations for an upcoming Raw taping, he didn't rush to call Heyman. He didn't stop production. He didn't even pause the meeting he was in. Sources claim he smirked, leaned back, and muttered words that left everyone stunned. The game always catches up to the players. A phrase so cold, so dismissive, it felt less like concern and more like judgment. In that moment, fans began to question, was this bitterness? Was this years of pent-up resentment toward Heyman finally spilling out when the man couldn't defend himself? Because let's not pretend, Triple H and Paul Heyman have never truly been allies. Their history is marred by clashes of philosophy, creative differences, and subtle digs. Heyman always the rebel genius, the mastermind behind ECW, the manipulator of giants. Triple H the corporate general, the system, the gatekeeper. Oil and water, destined to clash. But no one expected Hunter's first reaction to Paul Heyman's accident to drip with such venom. The WWE universe erupted. Fans flooded social media, demanding answers. Was this just another rumor twisted by dirt sheets? Or did Triple H truly let his personal grudge bleed into a real-life tragedy? Has the WWE coup become so jaded, so politically driven, that compassion has no place in his empire? And then came the footage. A leaked clip from backstage, secretly recorded by someone within WWE's production crew. In it, you can see Triple H being informed of the accident. His face, stone cold. His response, chilling. You reap what you sow. Paul's made his career playing with fire. Eventually, you get burned. The video spread like wildfire, igniting one of the most furious debates in wrestling history. The fans weren't just shocked, they were enraged. Some defended Hunter, claiming he was speaking truth, that Heyman's manipulative ways and history of burning bridges had finally caught up to him. But others, the majority, saw it as disrespect of the highest order. A man fighting for his life deserved empathy, not condemnation. What made it worse? Roman Reigns, the tribal chief. The very man Heyman stood beside, guided, and protected for years. Roman reportedly called Triple H immediately after the news broke, demanding to know why WWE hadn't released an official statement, why Hunter's words were so cold. That phone call, sources say, ended with Roman slamming his phone and vowing that if Triple H ever disrespected his wise man publicly, there would be consequences inside and outside the ring. Now the question burning in every fan's mind, was this a crack in WWE's leadership? Did Triple H just fracture the trust of not only the fans, but also his own locker room? Because make no mistake, Paul Heyman isn't just a manager. He's a mentor, an architect of careers, a legend. From Brock Lesnar to CM Punk, from Big Show to Roman Reigns, countless superstars owe their greatest moments to Heyman's genius. And for Triple H to brush off his accident with words colder than steel felt like spitting on the legacy of one of wrestling's greatest minds. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, this was only the beginning of the chaos. Because as Paul Heyman lay in critical condition, the lines between respect, betrayal, and revenge began to blur. The locker room was splitting. Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, seething with fury. Superstars like Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, voicing their support for Heyman. Even Brock Lesnar, who's been absent from WWE television for months, reportedly contacted WWE officials with a simple message: "Tell Hunter I don't forget." The days following the accident became a battlefield of whispers and hidden agendas. WWE's official statement finally came, but it was cold, robotic, and devoid of heart. A short post on their social media platforms read: "WWE wishes Paul Heyman a speedy recovery after his unfortunate motor accident. Our thoughts are with his family." No emotion, no video package, no tribute. Fans immediately noticed the lack of Triple H's presence in that message. No personal words, no public empathy, nothing that felt human. The backlash was immediate. Hashtags trend worldwide, #pray for Heyman and #shame on Triple H. Behind the curtain, tensions boiled over. Roman Reigns stormed into Raw unannounced, despite not being booked, and confronted officials backstage. Eyewitnesses described the scene as explosive. Roman's voice echoed through the halls, "You disrespect my Wiseman again, and I'll shut this whole place down." Reports say Roman demanded a segment on SmackDown dedicated to Heyman, not just a mention, but a full acknowledgement of his contributions to WWE. Triple H, however, allegedly vetoed the idea, claiming the company doesn't glorify drama outside the ring. That decision sent shockwaves through the roster. To many, it wasn't just disrespect, it was a declaration of war. Because for Roman Reigns, this wasn't business. This was family. And when you disrespect his family, you cross a line that even corporate power can't erase. Meanwhile, whispers spread that Brock Lesnar was preparing a return earlier than planned. The Beast incarnate, notoriously loyal to Heyman, was said to be furious with Triple H's handling of the situation. Insiders claimed Lesnar was already in talks with creative to confront Hunter live on television, not as part of a storyline, but as a real, unscripted face-off. That rumor alone electrified fans, who began to speculate about an unprecedented clash between the Game and the Beast. And then, the most chilling development: Roman and Brock, two men who have spent years at each other's throats, were allegedly in contact with each other. A shocking alliance forged by anger, grief, and vengeance. The thought of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar standing side by side against Triple H wasn't just unthinkable, it was terrifying for WWE management. The locker room grew restless. Superstars like Sami Zayn, GUSO, and even veterans like Randy Orton began to speak in hushed tones about Hunter losing touch with the very heart of wrestling. "You don't kick a man when he's down," one source quoted Orton as saying. "Not even if that man is Paul Heyman." The situation escalated when fans staged protests outside arenas. Large groups held signs reading, "We want respect for Heyman," and Triple H equals heartless. Chants of Paul Heyman filled arenas before shows even started. The WWE Universe wasn't just demanding justice for Heyman, they were demanding accountability from the man running the company. SmackDown arrived like a storm cloud, heavy with tension. The atmosphere in the arena was unlike anything in recent memory. Fans weren't buzzing with excitement, they were seething with rage. Signs condemning Triple H littered the crowd. Chants of "We want Heyman" and "Hunter sucks" thundered before the cameras even went live. WWE had a choice: address the chaos, or drown in it. And when the show began, it was clear that Triple H had made his choice. The opening segment featured Roman Reigns marching to the ring unannounced, his face carved with fury, the bloodline at his side. No entrance pose. No theatrics. Just cold rage. Roman grabbed the microphone, and the arena fell into silence. "My Wiseman," he growled, "is lying in a hospital bed fighting for his life. And the man running this place thinks it's a joke. Triple H, you've forgotten who I am. You've forgotten what family means. And you've forgotten the consequences of disrespecting mine." The crowd erupted. Roman's eyes burned with intensity as he continued, "I don't care about your board meetings. I don't care about your corporate titles. I am the face of this company, and I demand respect for Paul Heyman. And if you don't give it, I will take it." Backstage, cameras caught Triple H watching the monitor, arms crossed, face unreadable. Some expected him to march down and confront Roman. Instead, he smirked the same smirk fans had seen in the leaked footage and walked away. The disrespect was deafening. But what happened next shook WWE to its core. Brock Lesnar's music hit. The arena exploded in chaos as the Beast stormed to the ring, eyes locked on Roman. Fans held their breath, expecting a fight to break out between the two eternal rivals. Instead, after a long, tense stare down, Brock extended his hand. Roman hesitated, the world frozen in anticipation. And then, he shook it. The crowd lost their minds. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, the unlikeliest of allies, standing together for Paul Heyman. It wasn't just a handshake. It was a declaration of war. A war not against each other, but against the man pulling the strings at the top, Triple H. The locker room erupted backstage. Some superstars cheered, others panicked. Creative officials scrambled. Because this wasn't scripted. This wasn't planned. This was reality spilling into the product in a way that couldn't be contained. And the message was crystal clear: if Triple H wouldn't show respect, then Roman and Brock would force it out of him. The fallout was immediate. Triple H was dragged into a maelstrom he could no longer ignore. The handshake between Roman and Brock had set the internet ablaze. Headlines screamed across every wrestling outlet: "Enemies united against the Game." Fans speculated endlessly: was WWE collapsing under Hunter's ego? Was this the beginning of a full-scale rebellion? Inside WWE headquarters, the board of directors was in panic mode. Sponsors were calling, furious about the negative PR storm. Ticket sales for upcoming live events had plummeted, replaced with fans threatening boycotts. Merch orders slowed. Stockholders demanded answers. And in the middle of it all was Triple H, unflinching, his jaw set as though none of it fazed him. But behind that cold stare, insiders whispered that he was boiling with rage. On the next episode of Raw, Triple H finally broke his silence. Standing in the ring, microphone in hand, he stared into the sea of hostile fans chanting, "Respect Heyman." The game's voice cut through the noise. "You people want sympathy for Paul Heyman? You want me to cry for the man who built his entire career stabbing people in the back? No, that's not who I am. That's not who this business is. You get what you earn in this industry." And Paul Heyman earned every ounce of what he's living through right now. The boos were deafening. Trash rained down from the crowd. Yet Hunter stood tall, almost feeding off the hate. He wasn't backing down. He wasn't apologizing. He doubled down. But then, the Titantron flickered and Roman Reigns appeared live via satellite. His voice was calm, steady, but dripping with menace. "Hunter, this isn't about business anymore. You crossed the line when you disrespected the man who built legacies in this company. You don't get to stand there and play God. And if you think you're bigger than this family, you'll find out soon enough who really runs WWE." The camera panned out and standing behind Roman was Brock Lesnar. Arms crossed. Silent. A visual that sent chills through every fan watching. The unholy alliance was real, and it was gunning straight for Triple H. Backstage reports said Hunter was furious at the unsanctioned segment. He stormed through Gorilla, shouting at producers, demanding to know who approved it. But the truth was undeniable. The power was slipping from his hands. The superstars, the fans, even the sponsors, they weren't backing the game anymore. And the whispers only grew louder. If Triple H couldn't control the locker room, maybe the board of directors would step in. For the first time in years, the King of Kings looked vulnerable. Not in the ring, but in the empire he swore he would rule forever.